Hello everyone, my name is Eric. Thank you for joining me today on One Smoker's Palate. You are watching Oakland Tobacconist. So here we are, second installment into One Smoker's Palate. Now once again, as a bit of reiteration, this is my journey into finding what I think might be the top San Andreas Maduro cigar that I can find out in 2022. Last week we reviewed a really exceptional cigar called the Bonita. It's a 7-month aged tobacco. Comes from a gentleman named Justos, which is the cousin of Terrence Riley of Aganorsa Leaf. And it was one of the more complex, I won't say strongest, but definitely complex and balanced San Andreases that I've had. 5x50 Robusto. If you get a chance, check it out. Fantastic cigar. And by the end, that cigar I rated at 74. How our rating system works is there's 10 categories, and each one gets a 1 through 10. After you put in your score for all those, that gets your total out of 100. More than likely, you're probably not going to see hardly anything come up to the 90 aspect, just because of you being very conservative on the voting process. I don't want everything to be just blown out of proportion, and everything gets a 10. However, the standing right now is 74 for the Bonita, and so today we have number 2, the Challenger. This is a cigar you've seen on our channel before. I thought it would be great to review it since I haven't had it in a while. This is the Neanderthal by Roma Craft, the HN 5x52. Now, Neanderthal is known for strength, it's known for power, as well as complexity. As Roma Craft is a smaller company, it has created some fantastic blends like Cro-Magnon and Aquitaine. And those cigars are definitely not for the faint of heart. This one's going to be on the stronger side. I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and cut this up and give it a light and see where it lands us. There's the cut. Cold draw. Wide open cold draw. Definitely chocolate and earth. Almost no saltiness or pepper on the lips, so we're going to go ahead and get this toasted. So I have to correct myself. This Robusto is actually at some portions, because it's more of a figurado, it's sort of like a blunt figurado. Some portions it's a 52 gauge and some at a 56. The HN is really like different type of shape. The flathead on the top is really recognizable, but it is some would classify as a short figurado, even though it's more subtle on where the taper ends and where it begins. So, all right, right up at light up. We have things like a little bit of saltiness. Pepper is all through the nose on the retrohale. You have a bit of cocoa sweetness, but it's definitely right in your face. Like, I think the difference with the other one, it was a warming up. This one is straight out the gate, right on the flavor, right on the strength. I mean, beginning impressions, I'm going to say this is a medium full. Beginning impressions, I'm going to say this is a full-bodied, full strength. But let me go ahead and take a second impression. Here we go. All right, so I think a lot of that pepper was on the initial light up. We still have that strength, really dark, dense, like barnyard, very barnyard mustiness coming to it. A little bit of pepper on the retro. A lot of that's dying down. And I don't necessarily mind pepper on the retro, but when it's so strong, I definitely think it's worth bearing. So the wrapper itself, rather veiny. The seams, I wouldn't say, they're very tight seams, but they're definitely very visible. This looks like a double cap, maybe triple cap, double cap. And sometimes with figurados, the worry is that there is a issue with the rolling, like it's plugged up and such until you get over the tapered end. But from start, the draw is wide open. So that is the initial impressions right now of Neanderthal HN. I'm going to continue to smoke. Let's see where we turn out in the next third. All right, here we are, second third. This is very interesting. Before we get into the strength, the flavors and such, you kind of see this like ash. It's kind of splaying out. Originally, it was burning rather uneven, like decently uneven, but it corrected itself. It did kind of splay the ash. I would say the ash is anything but like tight or compact. is definitely loose. In fact, I'm probably gonna have to ash it because I can see it all over and I don't necessarily want to be wearing it right now. However, I am impressed with the way it corrected its burn. So with that stated, we're gonna go ahead and plop that off. Came right off. Gonna continue burning it as it is. So far the burn's been great, and the draw and smoke out production is fantastic. I mean, if you want a cigar that's really gonna just bellow smoke right now, that's what this is doing. So I'm gonna, with that stated, with that in the forefront, I'm gonna go ahead and get a second time of flavor notes and see what it is that I'm really tasting. All right, so that barnyard element is definitely there in the forefront. Very like musty, dark earth barnyard element that's going on. And sometimes when people hear barnyard, they think it's a bad thing. I actually like it. I normally find those things in really dark Maduros or broadleafs, not necessarily always in a San Andreas. And I wonder if that's because there's Pennsylvania broadleaf in this construction. Maybe that's adding to it. However, with that stated, there is a good like almost salted peanuts. If you took like salted peanuts and then had a little bit of like, I don't know, upper 80s, upper 70s% dark cocoa over the top, that's kind of muted underneath that barnyard earthy element. So there is some inherent sweetness, a little bit of saltiness. The pepper is kind of ramping up. Strength-wise, I'm going to say it's in that medium plus full. And as far as body, full body as well. I would be curious to see how this would go with like a darker rum or also like a dark chocolate to pair with it. I think maybe that would bring out some of those sweeter notes and those dark cocoa notes over the barnyard element, but I'm enjoying both. Definitely some toastiness on the end. So right now, the construction is good. I would say the only few points it's lost is the fact that the ash just had to fall off. With that stated, I'm going to keep smoking and we'll get into the final third. So here we are in the final third. A lot of that, like the pepper element is coming more forward. It's getting spicy. It's getting definitely hotter. I would say sweetness is starting muting a little bit. But I've really enjoyed the burn on it and the flavor-wise. There's still that barnyard aspect, but there's more like a toasted and like light oak element going on, which impresses me given the fact that for such a small cigar, the transitions were really prominent. We kind of got really deep into that barnyard and now it's pulling back to like pepper and spicy. Definitely finishing in the full-bodied, full-strength line. It's not gonna like knock you out, but it definitely packs a punch. So there's definitely strength behind it. So taking all these things in consideration, putting them all together, and finally our final score on the Neanderthal HN ended up being an 80. Which is considerable. So our last one, Bonita, was at 74. This is now taking the top at an 80, which really surprised me. I honestly smoked this before, and just so many different elements, when you're really paying attention, really come forward. I love the transitions. The construction is really good. In spite of the ash, I would say the ash was probably the point where it got dinged. But the correcting itself on the burn was just fantastic. So really, really good blend. If you have not tried Neanderthal, I encourage you to check it out. For San Andreas Maduro, it's a fantastic smoke. We do have it available. Check us out at oaklandtobacconist.com if you'd like to try this cigar. But really, really good and very excited for the transitions. And so we journey on. That is number 2 that we have voted upon for the San Andreas for 2022 at One Smoker. And now it is taken the top seat. We'll see if the next one can dethrone it. Thank you again for joining me here on One Smoker's Palate. You guys have a great day.